Go.
Good evening, this is Shelley Metje with Corey's Network. We're here with orientation night. Normally on this evening, we have most of our group members out at Monique Willis's Mama on a Missions therapy group, and anyone who needs to come in, find out what we're about and what we're trying to accomplish with our group, they come in for an orientation program. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Corey's Network, what we're trying to accomplish with our group every week, and what we're hopefully been able to do at least over the last few weeks since we've started this. First of all, these are the wonderful people that are behind Corey's Network. You can see the picture behind me of the magnificent people that not only raised the money, but they also are the ones who wrote the program. They are the ones who do the advocacy. They are the ones who reach out in benefit of our program for the media, for any kind of issues that we need to have taken. We have authors, we have a chiropractor, we have social service agency people, we have every walk of life as far as people that can help you through a situation. So we have a really great group of people, as you can see there, and all of them very committed in wanting to help people through this process. So go ahead. We're going to go through a few things tonight. The first one we're going to do is we're going to do a brief history of what Corey's Network is. Then we're going to do what our mission statement and our goals are. Why are we here in this classroom? What our intentions are with this seminar in particular, and then an introduction to journaling is one of the big things that we're going to be touching on. Go ahead. Brief history. This started because in 2013, Corey Lakovich was murdered while walking home from a quick trip in Independence. When Corey was my son and Bob's son. Bob is behind the camera at the moment. And Justin, you could probably see him behind me, that's his big brother. He was walking home from Quick Trip, and unfortunately he was stabbed twice. And in the process of that, he was later pronounced dead. We were fortunate enough that he was able to donate 5 of his organs. He did save 5 lives. He gave sight to 2 people, and he gave bone marrow, and he gave bone, and he gave all types of different tissue so that he was able to help other people through other problems in their life. And what we found through that process is that by giving back, we were actually healing. But also, when I came out, I asked for my personal advocate that was supposed to help me through this program, or through this problem, and what they told me is that I would not receive a victim's advocate because in my police department, there were no victim's advocate. So I'd been in social work for 25 years up to that point. And Bob and I discussed it, and after about a year, we decided that we would create Corey's Network. And what we are doing is we're trying to help individuals by helping them find counseling, helping them navigate the media, helping them understand the investigation, helping them understand how to deal with the court. And then last but not least, we also help finance the funerals. Up to this point, we have helped to pay for 150 funerals in the Kansas City metropolitan area. So we've worked really hard to be able to do this. I just happen to be the lucky person to be in front of the camera, and will tell you that Bob does most of the work. He's our hardworking silent partner behind the camera, but I'm lucky enough to have a complete family that supports me in every way. And even with the loss of Corey, we know that Corey's support is also with us at all times. So, anyways, and that, of course, I want to mention that our board is comprised of not only professional people, but people who knew Corey, love Corey, or are committed to this particular cause for a reason of their own.
Speak up a little bit.
Including teachers, his aunt, aunts, uncles, other people that have been in direct contact with him, or people that have studied homicide victims, etc. So these are very knowledgeable individuals that are able to work with individuals. Again, our mission is to provide immediate support and advocacy for homicide victims, and this is in the Kansas City metropolitan area. In any area that does not have a victim's advocate. Kansas City, Kansas has a victim's advocate. Kansas City, Missouri has a victim's advocate. Oak Grove and Green Valley have a victim advocate. And to our knowledge, none of the other police stations have a victim advocate at this time. It's not because they don't want a victim's advocate, but in 2009, when the police went through the same recession that we did, they had to cut money, and those particular positions were considered non-essential positions, and they needed more police and they needed advocates, and they could count on the county to be able to give advocacy. But what that does is that put people like me, whose our case was not solved for 3.5 years, that put people like us in a kind of a purgatory where you have no one to speak up for you and you have no one to help you. So we decided that rather than watch and know that we could have helped someone, we wanted to step out and take that place. Yes, please. Why are we here? I always wondered why somebody didn't do something about that. Then I realized I'm that somebody. The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch without doing anything. And what it really boils down to is if you want a change in the world, you need to be the person who is willing to make the change. I told my students when I was a sociology teacher that if something makes you uncomfortable, you are the person who needs to make that change. It's not up to someone else to make that change. Change doesn't come from somebody who is comfortable sitting in their living room who's never had this issue ever happen to them. It has to come from you if you want to make a change. Why are we here? When we were first told Corey was murdered, of course, we were surprised that we didn't have an advocate. Like I said, I'd been in social work for 25 years, and I was surprised I didn't have an advocate. The founders did the research on programs, and we found that there were no advocates in many of the police stations. Sorry about that. And so we decided we would step forward and do that. We believe that no surviving victim of a homicide should go without an advocate, ever. And therefore, CNI offers a freestanding advocacy program for any surviving victim in the Kansas City metropolitan area without a victim's advocate. And if you have a victim's advocate and you still need our support services, we are still here for you, no matter what that need is. We will tell you this is not a grief group. There are a lot of really wonderful grief groups, and we do our best to make sure that people are aware of what grief groups are out there. And in a little while, I will bring up our website so that you can see what grief groups are out there that are very supportive and very helpful to individuals. But this is a seminar for someone who is going through grief, who is trying to find their way through the confusion, through the system that they never knew that they'd have to learn about, through the media, through the police investigation, through the TIPS hotline, through court, through anything else that they would have to go through, because those are all added things that you have on top of your grief. And we try to help you, but we are not grief counselors. None of us are certified counselors, but I can tell you a whole bunch about the court system, because I've worked in the court system, and I've worked with the Department of Corrections, And others in our group can teach you about different programs because they've worked in those programs. In our system, we have over 180 years of experience within our board of directors alone, just in the system that we're trying to teach you. So when you come here, you're not going to, we're not going to hash up old feelings. We're not going to try and discuss anything that's going to make you upset or cry or anything else, not because we don't care, but because what we're trying to do is help you face your problems and be able to get through them with the greatest amount of ease possible, because we know how hard it can be, and we know that you need these tools to be able to get through. Our intentions are to provide the building blocks for surviving a traumatic loss, to educate people involved as civilians about the investigation and the legal processes, to help victims understand their rights concerning the media, the investigation, and other steps through this process. And with that, I'm going to stop for just a moment, and we're going to pull that down. Sorry, we're having a momentary glitch in our system. That's okay. Why don't you pull out that one? One of the things that we want to make sure that we also teach people is that grief is not a system of steps. And a lot of times people will say that there are 5 steps to grief. And you'll hear people say you've got to go through the 5 steps, and then once you get done with the 5 steps, you're going to be okay. And one of the things that we try to combat in our particular group is the person who says, you know, you just need to get over this. And, you know, we all want grief to work like you have the incident that happens, you grieve for a little while, and then it just ends. And to be honest, I even had a counselor that one time told me that I should pick a date that I quit grieving Corey and stick to it. And believe me, I fired her that day. Because grief is not this line here. It's more how this line is over here. You start the first day, and then you're up and you're down and you're around and you're tied in knots and you don't know what you're doing, and you're trying to figure out how things are supposed to work, and etc. And part of what we're trying to do is help you untie that knot, so that even though it may not be a straight line, it's still never going to be a straight line. At least it's not going to be a knot. And hopefully it'll just be a little bit more of a wave. Can you go to the next one? As you can see, there's that wave there that's being described that I just talked about. This is the Kubler-Ross grief model. And they were the ones who originally said that there were 5 steps. They went back and they said there aren't 5 steps. We messed up on that. And now instead they talk about how different feelings get involved and that they come in different waves. And they may hit you, and think about the ocean. As the wave goes across the ocean, it hits the other side, and then it comes back to the other side and hits you again, and it'll hit you a different way the next time, and then it hits you again. And what it's talking about is denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And one day you may be ready to accept that the loved one has been murdered, but the very next day you may be angry. You may be angry and still accept that they're murdered. Because I know that there have been many days that I've been very, very angry, even though I accept the fact that Corey is gone. And there are days that I'll be very depressed, but I'll still want to go down the street and I'll see a young man walking that looks somewhat like Corey, and I'll deny that Corey's dead because I'll be looking out trying to see if maybe that's Corey I'm driving by. So all of these things it's not one straight line, it's a curve, much like this. Go ahead. And if we really get down to it, it's more like this. The normal functioning, whoop, too much, there you go. Normal functioning, and then you come scooping down and you wrap around, and you go up and down, etc. And then you may come back around. And this particular model talks about shock and denial, which includes avoidance, confusion, fear, numbness, blame. The next part is anger, frustration, anxiety, irritation, embarrassment, shame. So how many people out there right now are ashamed because maybe they haven't spoken to their child for a long time, and then they don't know if the last time that they spoke to their child, if they said, "I love you." And so you feel that shame. And that's part of the anger portion, because how dare you take my child before I can say I love you one more time? How dare you do that to me? The depression and detachment, they're feeling overwhelmed, they're feeling the blahs, the lack of energy and helplessness. How many of us are feeling that right now at Christmas, knowing that there will be one less place setting at the dinner table? We feel these feelings, and it's a normal part of our grief process, so to say. The dialogue and bargaining, reaching out to others, desire to tell one's story, struggle to find meaning for what has happened. How many times have you heard someone say, "The Lord has a reason that your son died. The Lord has chosen you for this particular mission," or "This is your calling now." The Lord didn't have anything to do with this. The murderer had something to do with this. And some of you may get mad at me for saying that. But I do not believe that the Lord plans for a murderer to be a murderer. The Lord plans to give them the choice to do what's right or what's wrong. And the murderer makes that choice. And a murder is the interruption of God's plan. It is not God's plan. Is it plugged in correctly? Okay. And then acceptance is you're exploring options and a new plan. That's okay. Then you have the return to a meaningful life. And I was trying to explain to one person earlier today that, you change your whole life for a child that's come into your life. For me, when I found out I was pregnant with Corey, I changed everything in my life. I quit going out drinking because I was still in college. I quit going out dancing. I quit going out doing a lot of different things. And when that happened, because I quit those things and I started filling my life with things with my children, when Corey was taken out of my life, it left this hole in my life. And so we started looking around, and we keep trying to find something meaningful to put back in it. And we keep trying to figure out, how are we going to fill this hole? And I said, well, maybe we're not supposed to fill the hole. Maybe we're not supposed to fill that hole. Maybe that hole is supposed to be like the Grand Canyon. And maybe that Grand Canyon is supposed to be there as a reminder of all the beautiful things that have happened because that person was there. All the beauty, all the memories, all the love, and everything else that has happened. And, you can imagine the first explorers going up to that canyon and saying, "Oh, man, we got to walk all the way around this thing? This is so uncomfortable. We don't want to do this. There's no way around it. There's no way through it." And But now millions of people will go to that Grand Canyon and look at it and say, what a beautiful thing this is. And it's our job as parents to help people see what a beautiful thing was in this hole. That's really what it boils down to. The meaning of this is that this was your child or someone you loved, and you are their spokesperson. That's the meaning of this. Go ahead. Is it going to go to the next one?
It seems to be thinking about it.
It's thinking about it. Hold on, it's thinking. I'll be drinking. Thank you.
Oh, there you go. Oh, we just.
Okay.
Okay.
There's one too. There it is. This one is actually one of the better descriptions of the stages of grief, because it's got all of the different feelings, all of the different low points, and etc. It's got all the different thoughts and everything. But again, it's not perfect, because you're not going to go straight down one side and then back up the next side. It's talking about shock and numbness and denial and emotional outbursts and anger, fear, searching, disorganization, panic, loneliness, etc. And it goes up the other side with new relationships, people coming to groups, people that are entering your lives now that are helping you through new patterns, new hope, affirmation, helping others. That's something that we've found through doing this. And then loss adjustment, which is all very empowering to the person. But in reality, let's show the next one, please. This is a way that really does go, if that makes sense to you. Because one day you're going to be in emotional outbursts, and the next day you're going to be helping someone else. I mean, I'm 5 years into this, and there will be days that I'll hide in the back bathroom and scream. And then the very next day I'll go and help pay for somebody's funeral. Or I'll be here running a group. And then I'll still be angry at the person who killed my son. And then I'll start new relationships. So the truth is, my experience looks more like this spaghetti bundle over here than the other way. And we have to accept that there is no one certain way to go through this. I had a teacher once that taught me in social work. The two men can be driving down the same highway, both going in opposite directions, both the same size, both the same race, both the same weight, both the same height, both in the same car, both driving the same speed, and somehow along the way in the middle, they hit head on. And one person will, what is it?
It's still battery.
Is it still battering you? I don't know why it's not doing it right. It's hot.
You feel like,
But it says no signal. So I'm sorry, but our PowerPoint has gone out. But both of them hit dead on, and one of them walks away, and the other one dies. No one understands why. No one will ever understand why. But it's not for us to understand why. It's part of life. It's part of the miracle of life on one hand. It's part of the mystery of life, I guess, on the other hand. So what we will be doing in this class, and over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be holding off because we got Christmas Eve on Monday, the 24th, and then we got New Year's Eve on the 31st. And then the next week we'll be talking with Michael Hunt, who is from the Jackson County Courthouse, or Prosecuting Attorney's Office. And then we will have Cathy Malone, which is a counselor from this area. And she will be here to talk with us about how to move forward, because there's no moving on. I hate it when people say you gotta move on with your life. Oh, look at that, we gotta back up. Isn't that a miracle? It's a Christmas miracle. Everybody be happy. So, what was the next one we were going to be doing? What's in the word one?
There wasn't another one.
There's a word, isn't there? Word document?
Oh, Word document. Yeah, you're probably going to have to get through.
You don't know the half of it.
Put it in the journal.
Yeah. Okay, so we were going to talk about journaling. One of the things that I would like you to do is start journaling. I know that you've started journaling to a certain degree, but journaling is a very important part of healing. It's stuff that you wouldn't be able to tell anyone. It's stuff that you wouldn't be able to tell me, wouldn't tell your husband, your wife, your kids. You can talk to your loved one. You can talk to yourself, and nobody will care. Nobody will even notice that you're talking to yourself. You can talk to whomever you choose. Some people write letters to their children that have died, to their loved one that's gone away. They've tried all different avenues. For 3.5 years, I journaled on Corey, in honor of Corey Lakovich, which is on Facebook. So you can go on there, or you can go on our blog, which is at corysnetwork.org, and we're going to go on there in just a minute because I want to show you some of the. Why don't you pull up corysnetwork.org real quick?
It looks like
Okay.
it's charging.
Okay. Okay. It looks like it is. Good. Whew. Anyways, but you're going to want to start journaling and writing down your feelings and working through your feelings. Not just the things that have happened, but how you're feeling, and get them out. Because one of the things, no matter which of those models I showed you, none of them had a secret door. Oh, I love it. None of them had a secret door that said, here's your easy way out. None of them had a trap door that said, you can leave through this way. You can stop grieving by just taking this one exit. You can stop grieving if you just take this one pill. Or you can stop grieving if you just eat this one more ice cream cone. Or you can stop grieving if you just do this one extra thing. I didn't see that on any of those. And if any of you caught that, because you were looking at it longer than I was, let me know. But the only way that I found that you can get through grief is by going through grief. Period. You have to be able to go through it, and you have to be able to accept what's going on in your life. A lot like those explorers had to accept that the Grand Canyon was not going to move. You have to accept your Grand Canyon is not moving. You have to either choose to ignore it, or you have to choose to embrace it. But somehow you have to understand that that Grand Canyon is not going to move. Are you still pulling up corysnetwork.org? Go ahead and go to the journaling page while that pulls up. So one of the things that we do is we ask for people to blog certain things. And the first blog, why don't you scroll down so that we can see all of the questions?
That would be great.
I want you to go over your thoughts, and you won't share this with me. This is for you. So if you don't do it, that's on you. But if you do it, I want you to really give it some thought. What were your first thoughts about the situation that led to the murder? Okay? What are your thoughts right now about what happened? What things should you focus on right now? What things can wait until another day? What facts do you know about what happened? What theories about what happened, and whose theories is it? Do you believe there are any major differences in your grief when comparing this to losing a loved one to another cause? You might compare that to losing them in a car accident or losing them to cancer. Do you feel that there's a difference between the grief that you feel from this to that? Have you ever sought out help, counseling for grief in the past? And what did you think of that experience? What tips from counseling have you applied to this current situation? So if you've gone to counseling in the past, what have you used? For me, like I said, I've been in this for 25 years. I've used a lot of the information that I've used in my life and in my career to be able to get through this. And then, how are you going to help yourself and those around you through the tragedy? One of the biggest things that we have focused on in Corey's network is, how do you help someone through the worst day of their life? How do you help someone through the worst day of their life and help them survive, and not just survive, but thrive? And to be a part of society that's able to help and to love and to give. Because it's a really hard thing to do once you've been hurt, and hurt this deeply, to trust someone and to love someone or to give back. Because you don't know who's going to be the next person who may or may not hurt you. Especially if you don't know who killed your child or who killed your loved one. But at some point, there has to be some midway, some giving. Has Corey's Network popped up yet? There you go. This is corysnetwork.org. We invite you to go see it. You'll know it by my hand and Bob's hand and our Corey's Network bracelets. And if you don't know it, that's my hand and that's Bob's hand. Okay? But if you go to our services, scroll down, keep going, go up a little bit. We have community affiliates. We work with community affiliates to create a wraparound service for all clients. We're not Corey's Everything program, we're Corey's Network, which means that we work with other programs to make sure that you get as much help as you can possibly get. So when we talk about it, is she locked up?
Yeah.
When we talk about this, we talk about Mama on a Mission. That's where other people go on the third Monday of every month. And we have Healing Pathways Service Agency. They help with children. They're wonderful with kids. They adopt kids for Christmas. They adopt them for Easter. They adopt them for all types of different things. Justice for Destiny also helps pay for funerals. They help with other issues in the community as well. Then on top of that, we also work with parents of murdered children, and they are for the adults. Now, Mama on a Mission, like I said, they have a meeting every third Monday of the month, which is why we're here tonight doing the orientation. And then we have Parents of Murdered Children. It's on which Friday of the month?
The second Friday?
I want to say it's the second Friday of the month. If not, you see that? You can actually, I'm sorry, it keeps telling us it's low, but it's plugged in. Parents of Murdered Children, the Cathy chapter, that's actually a link. So if you click on it, it would go directly to them. You can see other partners in resources, the Ad Hoc Group Against Crime, Kelsey Smith, Casey Mothers in Charge, Greater Casey Crime Stoppers, and United 211, United Way. Keep going. We work with Kansas City, Kansas, Kansas City Mo, Grain Valley, Oak Grove, Independence, Lee Summit. We have different counselors that we work with, so that you've got different counselors that you can go to. Responsive Mental Health Center, our services, Cathy Malone and Solace House. We also have the suicide prevention hotline there, so if you feel desperate enough that you need to talk to someone immediately, that is someone that you can call right then. If you know somebody who needs to find a funeral home right away, we have several different funeral homes in here that work with us specifically to make sure that the funeral is not as expensive. They will sometimes take payments. If you tell them Corey's Network is helping you, then they will make sure that they wait for the check from us. They know as soon as you say Corey's Network's helping us, then they know that a check is on the way, so they have faith. And then you can see that we work on both sides of the state line, okay? If you can scroll all the way up, Justin, I want you to go to the blog. This is my grief journey. This is what I was talking about earlier. If you want to read about my personal journey with grief, as well as some things that have to do with moving on and some of the issues that you have to deal with on a daily basis, this is where you want to come. Okay, this is where I put it all out there. I don't have anything to hide. I talk about my pain about Corey's death. I talk about times of good times. I talk about bad times. You will cry. You'll laugh. There's a whole bunch of it's a whole bunch of different things going on. So it just depends on what I felt that day that I was going to blog. There's over 200 stories on that right now that you can go in and you can read and you can understand and kind of maybe, I don't know, digest and identify with, maybe. So then you understand that what I'm talking about, I understand completely, especially those pictures where I showed that your personal journey is more like it goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So if you want to, do you want anything else in here? If you want to get involved, if you want like client referral. If you know somebody who has someone who has just been murdered, you can do a client referral. Scroll down. If you want to be involved in volunteer opportunities, become a corporate sponsor. If you want to know what we've got going on, you can click on any of the colored dates over there and it'll tell you where we're going to be at any time and our upcoming events. And then you scroll down a little bit further and it tells you some of our sponsors that have been given, that have sponsored us in the past. Keep going. Is there any more contact information?
That's it.
Okay. And then, let's see, if you want to see some of the videos that we have done, because we will do a video of you, if you want to, about your loved one and you, and it's free to you.
They're not there.
They're not there right
They're
now?
on YouTube.
Huh?
They're on YouTube.
They're all on Unsolved Homicide YouTube channel. So I brought you there so you could just see that, I guess.
Well, there are videos there.
Okay.
There are videos, but
There's me talking about what the Unsolved Homicide video is going to be about. And how to contact us.
Here.
Oh, sure, there you go, contact us.
Sorry.
If you want to be put on our website, on our mailing list, this is a way to do it. It'll go directly to our contact information and it can be put directly into our mail list and you'll have it completely. It looks like it's dead again. So, do you, I know you just walked in, we'll cover some stuff for you in a little bit. Do you have any questions about anything?
No, not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Okay, do you have any questions, Bob?
I'm
Was there
good.
anything that we missed? Okay, well, thank you for coming by tonight. I hope this helps somebody. If you want more of these to be put out there as we go through the program, let us know if it's helpful. If it's not helpful, then I guess just a watch. But anyways, we appreciate you being here tonight, and hopefully it's going to help somebody somewhere be able to help them through their grief. And we appreciate you. Thanks.